Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I'm your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I thought tonight I'd start off our broadcast with a little old friend that I haven't used in a while, the kalimba. I got this for my birthday last year. It's a really beautiful gift, a beautiful instrument, and I think it's a great way to encounter the vibes inherent in the space. Oh, I'm also going to turn this back to my preferred pickup method. Okay, that's just a little ditty that, of course, I don't know how to play this. I just let my thumbs and the vibes talk to each other. So it's always an improvised piece. Let's go ahead and get started talking about the weather today. And how I usually like to start talking about the weather is by beginning with the volcanic weather. So let me go ahead and display that and get it on our screen. I'm feeling a little bit more ASMR about this stream lately. So if it's a little mild, please forgive me for your taste. But I find it rather calming to talk in a calm, cool, collected voice. There we go. Now we are starting off. This is a map of our currently active volcanoes. I don't usually remind everyone that we have that, but I do like to show it. Let me see if it'll let me show quakes right now. No, it doesn't want to let me do that. Sometimes it can show both on the same map. All right. No glow indicating fresh lava from the crater, only degassing activity on May 8th. I believe this is from Rearcast, as this says that the eruption has ceased. Civil defense experts conducted a drone flight over the eruption site on the night of May 8th. No signs of activity could be seen in the main crater. The activity had gradually been declining over the past month, as observed in these attached time lapse. Ooh, there's a time lapse attached. I don't see it. containing a series of Sentinel-2 satellite images. The eruption lasted almost 54 days. However, magma continues to accumulate beneath the Svartsengi. That's a region where the power plant is and where the upwelling of magma fed this eruption previously, with model estimations showing that about 13 million cubic meters of magma have been stored into that chamber since the eruption commenced on the 16th of March. Consequently, there is a high likelihood that the magma will soon recirculate from the magma chamber beneath Svartsengi to the Sudnux crater row. Beautiful. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. That's our earthquake alert in the background. That is really interesting. I'd love to see that time lapse. That's really cool. This eruption lasted almost 2 months. It was the entire month of April, half of March, and a week of May. Beautiful performance by this eruption. Beautiful because no one was hurt. Beautiful also because it is beautiful to witness the power of waveforms. And again, reminder that I include volcanoes and earthquakes in this update because they are all waveforms that contribute to the global geophysical system in which weather exists. All of the particles off-gassed by craters are part of the weather system, and all of the heat that is circulated through the Earth's center is part of that system. It's also part of the electromagnetic weather that comprises solar weather and interplanetary magnetic space. Semeru in Java continues to explode, and Popocatépetl has ceased volcanic ash emissions today. We had some recent reports of volcanic ash in Colombia at Nevado del Ruiz, and we had Reventador have recent ash plume reportings. Let's see, that is that for this. Suno's Jima erupted on May 9th. We've got, I don't know why this is, no, go away. Sometimes. Suno's Jima erupted. We've also got Mount Ibu with volcanic ash emissions, possibly visible on this picture. Mount Ibu's behavior has been characterized by a combination of near constant, moderate, and sporadic strong Vulcanian-type explosions from the caldera's cinder cone over the past several weeks. Here's a powerful explosion from Mount Ibu yesterday. You can see that really beautiful, powerful ejecta rising very high into the atmosphere, while contrasted by the background atmospheric clouds. Remember that in order for clouds to get tall and cumuliform like this, you need a lot of strong upward momentum that usually comes from heat or physical forcings of wind and the pressure gradient. But with a volcano, the clouds, the air masses coming out of a volcano's eruption are able to penetrate the cap or the go past the layer where normal atmospheric forcings would be able to manifest clouds, because they've got that hot rising air. They create a local thermal gradient that helps them propel upward, as well as the fact that there is pressure behind these releases. That is a physical forcing other than the thermodynamic forcing of allowing these clouds to rise so high in the atmosphere. So that's why you get to see it punch through like a fist. Doesn't this looks like a fist punching through the clouds that exist already? It's a big injection of cloud condensation nuclei into the upper atmosphere. Here's an image of Sumeru and another image of Mount Ruang putting off its own clouds. Or Ruang. I always say Ruang because I don't know. The other pronunciation sounds wrong. Okay. Lewitobi Flores has erupted. So has Sumeru. We've got Dukono on Halmahera. Halmahera, I'm sorry. I always get tongue-tied with that one. Continues to explode. Continuous volcanic ash emissions move to flight level 80, moving in the eastward direction. Mount Rang also continues to explode. That's one of the newest additions to our list of actively erupting volcanoes. Popo continues to, well, on the 9th it continued to emit ash, but it looks like it might have slowed down a little. Fuego in Guatemala had some possible volcanic ash emissions. Reventador had no volcanic ash emissions on the 9th of May 2024. And Sabancaya in Peru continues to explode all the way to flight level 280 and is moving 10 knots in the southward direction. These are puff emissions. I wonder if they are coming out in cool shapes like the smoke ring emissions that we had from Mount Etna about a month ago. That would be really neat. Okay, since we had an update from Rearcast, let's go ahead and see what their official site has said. Ooh, look at this little earthquake swarm. After we got a notification that we've officially ended the eruption, we've got a little swarm of earthquakes happening. That is quite interesting. You see this little cluster here on Friday, really within the last few hours. I know that we have experienced a lot of geomagnetic storms recently, and I'm very curious to see the impact that both the end of the eruption will have on the inflationary chamber of the magma and what this big new dose of geomagnetic storm, what this electromagnetic radiation is going to do to the molten lava underground. Really interesting little cluster of earthquakes right in this area in the last, just about an hour ago. Let's see what news we've got from Rearcast. Okay, their last update published was the May 7th one, and that shows that it is continuing to erupt, but as we read, the eruption has apparently ceased. Let's see what our GPS data says. Let's see what our GPS inflation data is looking like. So we are dipping down from Gunho. Let's see, Krisvik continues at a steady pace. I'm just taking on in all this data at the same time y'all are. Here's the Svartsengi area update. It seems to continue uplifting no matter what the eruption status of the active crater vent was. It does look like we've kind of perhaps reached a new plateau. I don't see any big jumps in the data recently. Everything looks as if we're continuing as normal, which is quite interesting. I'll be really interested to see the impact of not only our geomagnetic storms, but also our astrology on the inflation data. let's go now to check out our earthquakes, as I can hear the earthquake 3D bell going off in the background quite strongly. Let's see. Let's go to just today. Okay, 4.0, 2.4, and a 4.6. We had the 4.6 on the Leeward Islands, and the 2.4 was like just due south of. This this map is very low res, but this looks just south of the southwestern portion of Puerto Rico, and the 4.0 was more off the coast of the DR. 41 kilometers east-southeast of Boca de Yuma, Dominican Republic. And, what's this I see? A southeastern quake in a place where we don't see them often. This 2.3 registers as in Resaca, Georgia. Resaca. I don't know how the locals say that one. That is right at the end of the Appalachian mountain chain in northern Georgia, and that's actually a spot where we got. This is actually a spot where we got. Oh, did it go away? I had to go back. Okay, maybe this isn't showing quite. Maybe I need to go back a little bit to show same days. How far back do I need to go? Let's see, is this gonna show? Oh, that's showing too many. Let's go for it. Okay, this 2.3 in Georgia was at 9 kilometers depth. Then we get into the Oklahoma, Arkansas area with some lower end quakes at a pretty shallow depth of 6 kilometers. We had a 2.4 here near San Antonio, and then our typical stack of quakes in western Texas around a lot of the drilling operations and extremely dry land out there. We are going to have to take these quake ring exaggerations down to be able to see, but it looks like we are looking at some quakes in here in central Idaho. I bet that's in Smiths Ferry, Idaho, right here in the middle of Montana, Wyoming border. That is right where Yellowstone National Park is. We had a 0.8. We've also got a 2.6 at 23 kilometers depth. A few in Montana today. We also have a few new quakes happening in Washington and Oregon, as well as continued quakes in the Salt Lake City, Utah area, some in the Nevada area, like a 1.6, 0.06, all under under the magnitude 2, but the 1 magnitude 2 is 7 kilometers depth. These are all in, let's see, what area is this? Goldfield, Nevada. So, Nevada. I don't remember which way people say it. Let's see. We got a 3.5 at 18 kilometers depth here on the border. That looks just to be just on the Mexico side of the border. Then we had another little cluster of little micro swarm of quakes in Southern California as well, getting up into the San Andreas Mountains and really in the fracture zone of the San Andreas Fault. They're going all the way up and down the coastline, and this big stack of micro quakes is here in, is this near Sacramento? Oh no, this is the Geysers, California. Again, the Geysers, California, another hotspot of usual quake activity. Let's see. Now, as we go up to Alaska, we see, there is a 3.3 here at 5 kilometers depth, but there are mostly really shallow quakes. Nobody really getting over to 2.9 and 2.5s, kind of equally spaced, equal distance spaced from the 2.9. These are at 35 kilometers depth and 25 kilometers depth, respectively. So the 29 is deeper. 2.5 was first, then the 2.5 here, and then the 2.9 here. That all comes, that 2.5 started at the same time that this 3.0 up here in very far northern Alaska happened. The 3.3, I'm sorry, was slightly on the Canada side. Now, let's take all these back on. We do have a slight increase in quakes out here in Kilauea again. Looking at, I can't find the deepest one, but looks like maybe the deepest one to only 30 kilometers or so, but some very deep, some very shallow, as you can see from this pin. We've got 2 more stronger looking quakes in the same area of east of Thailand that we saw the larger earthquakes about a month ago, a 4.9 and a 4.6 at 10 and 14 kilometers depth, respectively. That is just off the coast of Hualien City in Taiwan. A 4.4 at 26 kilometers depth in the Banda Sea, right off the coast of a Philippines island. We've got 4.8 at 24 kilometers depth, and then we're getting into our deep suckers out here. Look at how deep these guys are. We've got a, let's see, a 5.0. Oh, here we go. 5.0 at 0 kilometers depth. And that is registering as in the Vanuatu Islands. Then we also had right near it, in the Tonga Islands, we had this 5.7. Oh, no, I mean the 4.5. And then as we get down here on our way towards New Zealand, this is the Comedic Islands region. We had 4.5, 4.3 and such, and then a swarm of tons of 2s around northern and southern New Zealand. That probably is the same amount of energy that was going into the quakes in this area, but there's more fracture zones and rocks for the energy to propagate through in a bigger island like New Zealand. Also continuing to see quakes inside of Australia, a 2.0, a shallow 2.0 at that, and a 3.1, also very shallow at 0 kilometers depth. 4.5 here is this technically, I can't tell where this is landing. Okay, this is technically in Pakistan. 4.5 at 10 kilometers depth, right at the peak of the wave form in the plate boundary. Let's see, another little swarm of Greek quakes, this time always centered around the island Crete, but honestly, it looks like they are tracking more into mainland Greece and the coast of Turkey right now. This 1.8, what is this island called? Megisti. What is this? Oh, this is also a Greek island. Okay. Let's see. Ionian quakes. Let's see. We've also got to finish us out here in Chile and okay, this is technically Peru. This is right on the border, like right on the border. And in Bolivia, Chile, Peru, and Bolivia being our South American quakes today. Central America, kind of calm. Mexico, Central Mexico, and the Guerrero coast is still our big hot spot where we're getting multiple 4s and 3s. So when I take our quakes bigger, you can see the area of impact as shown by the shells here. Area of impact not necessarily being where the quakes would be felt, but where there could be knock-on effects for other earthquakes in that area. It might contribute to the tectonic stress of the plates in those areas. Now, let's move on to our atmosphere. Of course, this is the realm of weather that people traditionally think of as weather. I personally believe that all geosciences are part of one large weather system. But here we've got continued severe thunderstorms in the deep south. This time the deep south getting in on the action, whereas we got the mid-south yesterday coming with its own flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, mesoscale discussion, or special weather statements. And let's see, are we in? Yeah, we're in mostly a severe thunderstorm watch and only a few warnings. Here's a nice outflow, or a nice straight line wind boundary, clearly like peeking down along the trough line. I think I talked about that yesterday. Oh, speaking of yesterday, I don't think I ever made sure that my mic is working. Is my mic working today? Yes, my mic is working today. Yesterday my mic wasn't working for some reason. And I think YouTube just only sends people to my channel when my mic's not working, so that's fun. Okay. Yes, this is our weather for tonight. Really something sweeping through from Montgomery, Alabama to a big puff of it south of Atlanta in southern Georgia. We've got southern Mississippi from like Greenwood. It really focused on Jackson, Mississippi, the capital there, and some storms sweeping through central Louisiana and far southeastern Texas. This is a big, nasty looking cell near Houston. I don't like the looks of it. I want to look at it on single site radar. Yeah, look at that. That looks unpleasant, to say the least. And that is headed right for Houston, headed towards full shear. It might be slowing down, and it doesn't seem to be hooking. Yeah, that is really calming down. It has been a bigger weather day, though, than this current map shows. As we see, we were getting rid of the severe weather system from yesterday by way of the northeast. So the northeast is finally getting in on our severe weather party. Let's see let me pull up today's storm reports. So technically had a pretty big day for storm reports, even though the tornadoes were low. We had lots of damaging wind reports, lots of hail reports, over 100 reports of high winds and hail. Only 4 tornadoes reported. 1 in Iowa, of all places, 1 in Missouri, and 2 here in southern Georgia, which makes a little bit more sense since this is the area we are focused in right now. The hail reports, however, stretched mostly out of Texas. So that was an interesting feature. Let's take a look at today's GOES satellite so we can see the unfolding of this slightly different system. Okay, yeah, and you see throughout the day, the biggest convection centers were in eastern Texas, and now they have spread down to Houston and the deep south. Thankfully, this doesn't look like an overnight tornado producer. We are thankfully in more zonal wind flow in our upper levels, like meaning east to west versus north and south. North and south is meridional. East and west is zonal. We're in more zonal wind flows right now. So that is a good thing for avoiding severe weather because that creates a lot of shear in the upper levels. Now, shear can create vorticity, but when there isn't very much veering or backing, when there's not much directional shear and it's more speed shear, that is actually going to tear apart the thunderstorms rather than contributing to their generation. So it's kind of like how strong zonal upper level winds will tear apart a hurricane, because once the clouds get high enough to really convect and do some good hail movements, they get blown over. It's like a game of Jenga, the tower collapsing from the top and just kind of pulling everything into a jumbled mess. But we do still have a pretty well-defined low system of circulation up here in the Northeast. Thankfully, there was not enough available energy to convect those into big storms the way that it happens down in the Midwest and Deep South. We've got a little bit of a cyclonic activity happening out here in the Four Corners region. I bet that we are going to continue to see some weather happening. Well, weather's always happening, but thankfully today was a little teeny tiny break from our continued onslaught of terrible destructive weather that we've seen in late April, early May. Let's take a look at our observed precipitation with that. Now, this is where we got torrential rainfall yesterday in Tennessee, northern Georgia, Kentucky, and parts of Missouri. This was all in one day. We were getting into the 6 to 8 inches range of rainfall, and 6 to 8 inches is that real sweet spot for rainfall for flash flooding. You're going to get real wet if there's at least 6 to 8 inches involved. Now, that also takes into account it has to be over a short period of time. You can't spread those inches out through multiple days. They have to be all together at once. Houston area actually getting quite a bit of rain, over 8 inches, when you take into account the past few days of the week. Now let's go to a way to look at our global circulations. Let's look at null Earth, and as we go around we can see, yes, there is that, this is a surface level. Let's go to mid-level winds. 850 maybe. Yeah, let's go to 850. We've got a big center of circulation coming down here from Canada into America. This is currently a ridge-like formation, but it's got some low pressure circulation in it. This is a high pressure circulation. This is a low pressure circulation. They go together like so. The low brings down a trough. The high sometimes brings up a ridge, and there are the exchange zones in the middle where you get diffluence and confluence at depending what level in the atmosphere you're at. But you can see there's a pretty big ridge setting up here, which might bring some tropical heat up into the United States, but also could keep us from seeing too severe of a trough in the upper levels, contributing to a jet streak that would make severe weather happen. Now, the remnants of our big severe weather blows of the past week are now tracking into the North Atlantic, and there is quite the low pressure system circulating here. Like, if I was looking at this as a localized cell, I would say this looks like a tornado. This could look like a hook echo if this was a storm cell. But since this is on the mesoscale, or this is on a synoptic scale, I'm sorry. Since you're on the slightly larger, more global scale of circulation, it's just a cyclonic system, not a micro scale thing like a tornado. But this is headed for Iceland, so they should have some kind of crappy weather coming their way soon. Let's see if there's any water associated with this. I thought there was one that was precipitation on here. I mean, this is precipitable water. Doesn't look like there's much, well, there is a bit of precipitable water headed for this area, so could definitely see some decent storms from this in Iceland. Now, as we move into Europe, North Africa, and Western Asia, we've got some pretty clear-looking weather. You can see this ridge. This system of circulation is drawing up air all the way from the equator, and the compensating, like the other side of that seesaw, is this little trough, this forming cutoff low about to swing through Russia, really swirling around the Moscow area now. As we look at our equator and sub-Saharan Africa, we still have some strong onshore winds into Tanzania and Kenya, which I hope isn't contributing to any more precipitation, but could be. And we're finally warming up and maybe drying out a little bit in the desert regions that have recently seen a lot of flooding and rainfall. Rainfall, however, that has been lacking in Vietnam. Just there's a global water budget. If there's an excess somewhere, there's a dearth somewhere else. Our southern polar jet is, well, I'm not on the jet level. Let's go up to 500. Our southern polar jet stream is circulating in a loosening fashion. It's untightening. This is fall in the southern hemisphere, so they are expanding the reach of their jet stream. This is summer in the northern hemisphere, so we are supposed to be packing up our cold air blobs and sending them back up to the North Pole. Unfortunately, this looks pretty far from looking like this. This tight butthole. This very loose butthole. This is very nasty. Thank goodness we still have winds flowing in the correct direction, but there is all kinds of exceptions to that. There are all kinds of exceptions to that rule all over the place here. So really just a nasty mess up there. But this is creating some really sharp lamination, some really high frequency waves with high amplitudes and short wavelengths, as in They're really deep ridges and troughs that change very fast from side to side. They're not very wide, they're really narrow, so that means a lot of like really rapidly changing weather conditions. And their height being so pronounced means that there's an even greater transition between those weather transitions. So overall, weather getting more and more bipolar in many places that are used to pretty regular weather, pretty dependable, you can count on it weather. Still got some warming sea surface temperatures out here. In fact, let's take a look at our sea surface temperatures. Yeah, the part of the southern oscillation, the El Nino southern oscillation, is in its ripple phase. I believe it is bouncing back from the West Pacific towards the East Pacific. And we've got all kinds of massively hot sea surface temperatures here in the Indian Ocean, and that is contributing to their rainy season with that onshore wind, with high sea surface temperatures contributing to a good amount of evapotranspiration and creation of clouds. Now, I want to turn it from waves to currents because I think currents are so pretty to look at. It's gorgeous to see where the water is flowing in here. It's really cool that you get to see that the water's flowing into the Philippines and Indonesia from both sides. It's filling that tank up. You see this transport of warm waters towards the Japanese coast, creating a great fishing environment. And as we move into America, we've got really cool temperatures, cool sea surface temperatures hugging the Pacific coast, and really warm temperatures hugging the Atlantic coast. But we do have that northern Atlantic cold pool that is still keeping this really colder than we would like for it to be able to exchange heat efficiently. Now, while we like to keep our atmosphere in circular bands around the poles, that's because the ocean is supposed to exchange heat from poles. Oh my. Oh. I was listening to I was watching a Aurora stream in the background and it expired. Oh goodness. So that is a look at our weather globally. Let's take a look now at our Schumann resonances. Oh no, space observing system is down. Site undergoing maintenance. Well, we've had some really high Schumann resonances recently. I'm certain that they will be visible to see soon again. All right, we are under a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch. Let's see what this is about. This is all from sunspot region 3664, which is turned into an entirely new complex beast of its own, producing 3 X-class flare events. Remains an extremely complex sunspot region, which has the potential to produce more major solar flares, perhaps even exceeding X5 or X10. That is very exciting. And these coronal mass ejections that we looked at yesterday, these were all from 3664. 4 separate coronal mass ejections on their way to Earth, approximately arriving on May 10th or 11th, and then followed by 3 more on May 11th and 12th. That means that we may get a KP index of 8. We have a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch for May 11th. That's the Saturday. That means that we may even get to see aurora in places as far south as Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, and in Europe, perhaps even in northern France and southern Germany. I am hoping very much to see aurora where I'm located. Let's see. It says that this X1.1 might be an eruptive event based on SDO footage. If this event also launched a coronal mass ejection with an Earth-directed component, that would mean there are now 5 coronal mass ejections on their way to the planet. Updates to come. So, we've had some moderate M flares and R1 radio blackouts today. Let's take a look at our current auroral activity. We are now sitting at a KP index of 3, forecast to get up to an 8 possibly on Saturday. Let's look at our KP index over the past few days. Yeah, we've been hovering pretty low, but probably we'll have some really exciting stuff coming up. Let's go to our dashboard for solar. Solar protons are increasing very steadily. Ooh, that is exciting. Let's see. European index is also showing this. Wow, we are getting up into the over 1 proton flux units for greater than or equal to 10 mega electron volt energy level protons. We've also got a little increase in our higher energy protons, but not too much. Let's take a look. Yes, okay. So, May 9th, yet again, another big X-class flare happened at 9:10 UTC. I believe this was right after broadcast last night. And then there was another X-class flare today at 1740 UTC. So this X1.1 is, I think this is the one that might have had an ejection with it. And this X2, 2.15, that is very exciting to see. Yeah, it's definitely... Last night at broadcast, we had just had these 2 little peaks, and I think we were around this M4 level last night at broadcast. So shortly after broadcast, we ended up at the 2.25. So whatever dreams you had last night, very important clues for what you're working on right now. We've got this X1.12 that happened today. I'm really excited to see such continuous, strong X-class flares. This is really exciting. I mean, we've got 99% of C-class flares, 95% chance of M-class flares, and a 60% chance of more X-class flares. The more flares, the more flares. This is really exciting. Let's take a look at our CMEs with that. Ooh, buddy. Another big day for coronal mass ejections from 35 to 47. That's 13 coronal mass ejections. And, okay, this one was technically on the 8th. Let's see. This 3... Oh, wow, that is a big coronal mass ejection, probably a complete halo, meaning there is a Earth-directed component, and I think this is the one that was concurrent with that X-class flare, so let's take a look at that on the imagery. Oh my god, look at how beautiful this sunspot region is. I mean, have you ever seen convection so gorgeous? And that is what we're seeing right here. This is convection. Nobody can tell me otherwise. You can try to argue that it's a new type of convection, a different class of convection, but this is gorgeous. Gorgeous. I want this on a tie-dye t-shirt. That I want that on a t-shirt. Let's take a look at this on AIA imagery from 131 angstroms. Look at all that snap, crackle, and pop. So many X flares, so many M flares, too many to count. Wow. And they really blow out the white balance for this camera too. Oh my gosh. Look at that storm. Let's take a look at this again. I can't even, usually I wait for pop, 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 but this is just like looking at a sea of paparazzi, a flash bulb. Oh, beautiful. And this was very earth directed while it was doing all this. We've seen earlier in the year that sunspots wait until they're on the lens to do all this activity, but not this time. This time we were really showing off. And it is gorgeously connected to this northern hemisphere system of sunspot regions, connecting magnetically to 3667, I believe. Let's see what this looked like, where we can see our plasma tubes better. This one is the one that looks very volcanian. You see a lot of filament tornadoes on the sides too. Man, even seeing the X flares on this one, which doesn't usually display flares very well. That was definitely, okay, look, there's a little bit of ejecta with this last bit. Right here. There. You saw that last X-class flare had some ejecta? Pew. Yep. That is definitely an ejection there. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, beautiful. And look at all this swirling here. This looks like a mushroom in bloom, jetting out its spores. Beautiful. This looks like an angel. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Wait, I'm going to click on this image-wise. And have the flux units drawn on there. This looks a little bit like a little angel. Do we see it? This would be the wings, and this would be the head. Maybe this is a trumpet or a scythe or a gift of lunar power. And this is like the flowy skirt. Looks like traditional angel, not the... Well, it could be a biblically accurate angel as well. This looks like an angel. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. And yes, you can see with the flux lines, it's definitely magnetically connected to this this northern hemisphere area. That's really exciting. We've also got some bright regions rotating onto the sun, so we're not going to lose any excitement as we move towards our next round of big, exciting sunspots. Really great job from 3664. Couldn't be outdone by 3663. Just wasn't going to let us settle for less. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Before we go, I want to take a look at any of our updated... Well, this doesn't seem accurate. This doesn't seem like the Enlil model has modeled any coronal mass ejections here. But this one definitely has. Let's march through Space Weather Prediction Center's model. And there we see the large amount of ejections start to be modeled. This is, it's really modeling the May 8th and 9th coronal mass ejections, those big ones that we saw that were all partial halo, potential partial halos. And so we've got the first four that came on the 8th, and then the next one or two that came on the 9th, and it is pushing outward. It's pushing those other ones forward. So it depends on how fast they're moving differently. We're barely able to model this stuff as it is. It takes a long time to run these models. It's even harder to model how these ejections are going to interact with each other. So take all of these predictions with a grain of salt. But look at this ripple, this rippling wave. This is just going to be a huge impact. First, I mean, you never know if they're going to cancel out. They could amplify each other, but they also could cancel out. So, first impacts are expected overnight on the 10th into the 11th. So by tomorrow's episode, I think tomorrow's episode is going to be during peak geomagnetic storm time. I might even try to do an episode from the Blue Ridge Parkway because this looks like incredible geomagnetic storm conditions. Really good for seeing the aurora. I really hope that this couples well with our Earth's planetary field, planetary magnetic field. Wow. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, triple, quadruple, quintuple whammy. Is that, yeah. I will do my research on these forum messages as well. Let's see. Let's go to today's planetary weather. Oh my goodness, I've only been streaming for 29 minutes? No, 56 minutes. Okay. I hadn't checked it. This is a Jupiter day. We're in a Mars hour. I started this broadcast in a Jupiter day and a Jupiter hour. This is Thursday, Thor's day, and Jupiter is sitting at 26 degrees of Taurus. That is applying to a trine with Pluto in Aquarius. We've got the waxing crescent moon in Gemini at 17 degrees Gemini. That is making a square aspect to Saturn in Pisces. So our social lord of the cult of personality, Gemini, air mercurial, the male mercurial aspect is making a challenging but potentially fruitful aspect to Saturn in Pisces, our mutable water sign of Jupiterian expansion, depth, cosmic horrors beyond man's comprehension. I always think of Saturn in Pisces as thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is a word for the fear of open, deep ocean. It's like almost scarier than deep space. Aquarius is like deep space. Pisces is like deep ocean. It's even scarier because it's right here. Deep space you can almost not be scared of because it's so far away. Deep ocean, it's like, oh, we are very involved with this. So our moon is in Gemini, feeling social, chatty, mercurial, making a square to our Saturn in Pisces, maybe something that is anchoring us to our more watery ways of dealing with challenge. So there's a tension between those two, what your body wants to do and what is maybe actually occurring as your limits in Pisces. We've still got Mars really well placed in Aries, but it's currently making no aspects or major aspects to anything else. Mercury, who is ruling Gemini moon, is at 23 degrees of Aries. That is separating from its conjunction with Chiron. So I hope everybody's able to voice their wounded healer aspects or make some creative art out of it lately. If you're getting in touch with what you're needing to heal, Pisces is also a healing waters sign through your Saturn journey, then perhaps you're able to alchemize that into a healing journey for everybody else through this Aries, Mercury, and Chiron conjunction. Now we've still got beautiful Venus in Taurus, creeping ever closer to conjoining the Sun. And the Sun is really, I'd say, pretty conjunct Uranus in Taurus, that is separating from its aspect with its conjunction with Jupiter in Taurus. So Venus, Sun, Uranus, and Jupiter are all in conjunct aspects with one another, a really close stellium type of vibe. We are very solidly in Taurus season. This is very much the time of the artist, the musician that is very earthy, very aware of geoscience. I'm feeling very in my lane when I'm talking about this kind of stuff. So hopefully I will be able to figure out what the mission of this is. I just truly believe that I'm supposed to be talking about this stuff every day. I feel a lot of pressure societally to have some sort of business to show for this. I feel a lot of social pressure to be able to talk about this as worthwhile if there's people paying attention to it while I'm broadcasting, but I don't actually feel that it's important for people to see it yet. I really feel like the universe will bring people to this podcast when they need to see it, but it is a little bit of an ego deflation to put a lot of effort into something that no one's paying attention to. However, I think that is just an ego thing, an Aries thing. I feel very strongly that I'm creating something incredibly beautiful here that is worth it, even if nobody sees it. Even if nobody sees it in real time, I mean. I have a feeling one day this is going to be a wealth of information. This is like a captain's log of what it's like to be alive on Earth right now. Yeah, I guess I could talk about how Black Moon Lilith is also making a trine to these planets at the time. And all of these planets, as they move into the third decan of Taurus, are moving into a sextile aspect with Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is at that anaretic degree of Pisces, so it is the culmination of the entire zodiac sign. Pisces is like the anaretic degree of the signs, and the anaretic degree of Pisces is even more that. It's just the culmination, the pain, the joy, the beauty, the ever expansiveness, the everythingness, the zeitgeist of this. Everything is coming together for this right now. And I think it's beautiful that the planets coming off of this very, very important Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus are making that gorgeous aspect to Neptune and Pisces. I think we are currently making ripples. We are making waves that we have no idea how they will... Waves which we do not understand the implications of. We're making waves that we won't fully be able to realize the impacts of until well after our lifetimes, I think. This has a very epic, penultimate, setting the tone kind of vibe. This really materialistic, revolutionary change action oriented Taurus conglomeration, aspecting the fateful, at ultimate border edges, far reaches of the universe, far corners of the universe type of Neptune and Pisces, also being co-present with Saturn, which was previously thought of as the furthest planet out. Neptune is now thought of as the furthest planet out, if you don't count Pluto, but I count Pluto because I'm a Pluto in Aquarius kid, and obviously I'm very partial to Pluto being a real planet if I was born with Pluto in the sign that Pluto rules in modern astrology. Also, speaking of modern astrology, Neptune does rule Jupiter in modern astrology, or Neptune does rule Pisces in modern astrology. Jupiter was the previous ruler, or is the traditional ruler of Pisces. Let's see. I think that is going to do it for everything I need to show on stream. So, oh, hey, everyone. Jenny Ridger, calling all occupants of intergalactic craft. Science fiction double feature. Dr. X will build a creature. See androids fighting. Brad and Janet and Francis stars in the Forbidden Planet at the late night double feature picture show. Yes, I'm a Rocky Horror fan. I did say Uranus. I also use all pronouns. Thank you for asking, Josh. Hello from South Texas. Oh, hi, Jenny. South Texas is a beautiful place that I've only been to one time. I went to Nacogdoches on a storm chasing trip. I wonder if you are under a severe thunderstorm watch right now. I did talk about the the terrestrial atmospheric weather sweeping through the deep south tonight. We got a lot of straight line winds and quasi-linear convective systems marching through the deep south at the moment. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weather right now. I'm so glad that y'all are here. Thank you so much for joining. I use all pronouns because every perception is valid. You can think of me as a she. That's totally valid. I'm they because I am multiple waveforms all at once, not because I think there's anything wrong with the masculine or the feminine. And I also try to embody the masculine because it is a modality of energy that is currently very heavily rewarded in the material plane. It is something that I feel more respected and comfortable in socially to be referred to as masculine. However, that is all because of the material circumstances of current power dynamics of the world. I also think everybody is supposed to embody their dual nature as we move through a spiritual journey and get in touch with every aspect. I believe that's the mercurial nature of the alchemy that we perform on this planet as human souls, is to get in touch with the masculine and feminine sides of us and the sides which are beyond duality. That's our transformation. That's the variable that pops out of the equation, is how we transcend duality by fully embracing it. Does that answer your question? Okay. Now I am going to finish up our reading with a cosmic weather reading. And the way I do a cosmic weather reading is by using cartomancy, by pulling some cards. So Clear the air. Let's go ahead and start. Yes, I'm feeling starting with the tarot today. And if y'all like ASMR, I love to tap, tap, tap. Some of my favorite YouTube channels are people who do ASMR energy work, and I don't care if you believe in it or not. It's really high quality ASMR to tap some very nice, well-charged gemstones. This is my piece of raw labradorite that I keep with my holographic tarot cards. Did y'all see those light flashes? That was really interesting. That was really weird. Okay. Let's see. And oh, this is also, I don't show this very often, but this is the nice hand-carved wooden box that I keep my tarot in. Very nice sounds. Okay, I'll get on with the forecast. It is really good sounds, though. It's handmade from, and a gift from the person who helped me begin my Aquarian spiritual journey. An Aquarius I lived with about 6 years ago. Where were you in 2018? What were you up to when our solar cycle started to ramp up? Really excited to see everybody here. Introduce yourself in the comments. Introduce yourself to each other. I love you all very much, and I really look forward to getting to know everyone. All right. Let's get a reading for me, all the people in the chat, for Jenny and Joshua and whoever the third person who hasn't commented yet is, as well as for the entire collective. Let's see what the energy coming in from the cosmos is. Really, what is the energy coming in with these massive solar flares and coronal mass ejections? What is also the energy coming in from those types of activities in the realms of the cosmos that we cannot perceive with our current telescopes and material scientific perception? What's the type of vibe coming in through the quantum level and the chaos level that can only be described by spooky action at a distance, or aligning yourself with the true universe and feeling in the body what the information coming in is? Anybody want to come out? I think this does. All right. We have got the 5 of Swords upright popping out today. Very windy card. This is why I like labradorite with this deck, because it is holographic. We see a warrior or somebody actually smiling very slyly, a more mercurial person, as this looks like an androgynous person to me, picking up 3 swords, apparently after a battle, with 2 folks having left their swords and walking away. I assume that those 2 swords are their swords and they are walking away in shame. But the third one is standing here, left to pick up the pieces, collect what intellect is moving onward. We've also got some really strongly windy looking clouds, and in the form of cirrus clouds. I like to read symbolism in the tarot from natural sources, there's also an ocean and the hint of mountains in the background. You see the person furthest in the background maybe crying, holding their head in their hand, and the other one sauntering off with perhaps a defeated look to them. But the person who dwells in green and red, the person who dwells in green, red, and orange, is standing confidently after. I think of this as an argument because the swords are the suit of air and intellect communication. The Five of Swords is, let's see, the card of the first decan of Aquarius, I believe. Yeah, because 2, 3, 4 is Libra. 5 is the first decan of Aquarius. So this is the card. I keep pulling cards in the minor arcana that correspond to the decans where we have transits. This is the card corresponding to Aquarius, the Aquarius Pluto transit. Or this is the decan in which Pluto currently resides in Aquarius, in tropical astrology. So it's really interesting that this is popping out right now. I think this is what's left to communicate and what are we starting to dig deep into intellectually after the initial fray has started. It's almost like a shit-eating grin on the person standing in the foreground, but you don't want to be too spicy because there is the hint with these stormy looking clouds in the background. There is the hint that there will be more battles. You're not just leaving your swords like these guys. You have to collect and move forward. This could have also been after a practice. This could have been after a coaching section. Yeah. You're an Aquarius. Those who oppose you will be shamed. Yeah, as long as you dwell within the collective energy, there is very little that an Aquarius can't do. An Aquarius is kind of the maverick of the zodiac, in my opinion. Very maverick energy. But it's also the fixed air sign, which is a kind of strong-willed person, not just a strong-willed person, but it's the strength and backbone that an ideology can have. Aquarius represents to me not just cult, but like a unifying principle that keeps people together in a collective, that creates a unit, creates a technology. Aquarius creates the technology of a group of people, because technology is just a new assemblage and continuing system of organized systems that themselves are technologies. Aquarius creates the new technology of the human computer. And remember that all current material technology is a mundane simplification, bastardization of the technology of the spiritual plane. So computers are the current manifestation of Aquarian knowledge, but Aquarian knowledge really applies to the larger internet of our souls being connected on Indra's net. Instead of the internet, it's really Indra's net. But I'm not going to go into that. Well, maybe I will. Weather is also the medium that connects us intellectually. It's the air that we breathe, and it's the only breath is the only constant occurrence in the body that under all circumstances unites every system, other than blood, but that's a different conversation. Air is the masculine element that unites everything in the body, and blood is the feminine element that unites everything in the body. And air also unites all of us because we are like little fishies in a fishbowl walking around in the air that we all breathe in and out every day and create together. We all control the weather together with our thoughts, actions, words, even our internal meditations and moving of energy will affect the weather. So, Aquarius, we're creating weather right now. That's my argument. That's the hill I'm gonna die on. That's the energy of this card. I feel like is. Do you really want to die on that hill? Let's practice dying on that hill, because after the Five of Swords, the swords suit gets a little dicey. As you get into the higher numbers of swords, things get a little nasty and cringe. So this is maybe like the last very pleasant swords. I'm gonna go search for more cards to go with this now, because I feel like I have said my piece for the Five of Swords at the moment. By the way, Jenny, thank you so much for watching the stream last night and for letting me know that my mic was not functioning. I tried a different setting on my computer and it ended up zeroing out my microphone. So I appreciate that feedback. I'm now going to the Liminal Space deck, postcards from the Liminal Space, charged with the Ocean Jasper, beautiful Ocean Jasper. Let us take a look. And these are beautiful cards on really nice paper. But I will wake up my upstairs roommates if I shuffle them too loud. And they do work in the morning, so I've got to be a little bit sensitive with these. I love to shuffle this deck, though. When there's no one around, I love to... Oh, it's such a good, satisfying shuffle. Right now, I'm just doing a rough, choppy cut of them. All right, Liminal Space deck. Who goes with the Five of Swords today? Who's telling us what the cosmic energy coming in is? Nobody wants to jump out yet? Perhaps I'll have to select someone. Okay. Oh, I love this card. Trash Magic. Trash Magic is the card. All right. So this has a hot glue gun on it. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Trash Magic is interpreted as saying, your first introduction to magic was your imagination. Just make something. No more excuses. Very creative card. Also representative of the force of will applied in a creative direction. Also an Aquarian concept is the alchemy involved in trash magic. All magic really uses trash to create something new. And you have to trash something in order to create. You must destroy. And so there's no magic without the trash first. So really like this card a whole lot. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Also, there's something in it about the way a hot glue gun works is turning electrical energy, which I see as masculine, into thermal energy, which I see as feminine. It's the union of creation and destruction in a really tangible and obvious way, and I really like that imagery. So we got Trash Magic from the Liminal Space. And let's go with our final reading from the affirmations deck, the manifestation deck that I've got. And I always do this one with selenite because this is the channel. This is the cosmic, it's the fiber optics of the cosmos, fiber optics of the mineral geology world. I really like this piece. I really like this piece because it was a full, it was doubled, and it cleaved itself in in my pocket and into a perfect half, a perfect cabochon. So I really love this one. All right. Let's see. Take them out of their little home. These are a little harder to shuffle. They're big, thick, chunky. They've got some nice paintings on them that remind me of the 90s, the art style that was popular in America in the 90s. A very specific type of personal expression art that became popular when mass production of creative materials propagated during the last Saturn in Pisces transit. It's also got a lot of those good jewelly earth tones that I think were popularized during the Neptune and Uranus conjunction in Capricorn back in the early 90s. I'm also from the early 90s, so. Okay, what goes with trash magic and the Five of Swords? Oh, thank you. Okay. This one is: through the corridor of my joy is the pathway to my desire. And it shows somebody walking under an umbrella, possibly two people or one person in their shadow, walking under an umbrella in the rain, down a path in the forest or a park. It says, most say, when I get that, I will be joyful. But you must be joyful first. You must start with the determination that I will not settle for less than feeling good. And I believe that that path of creation, that path of determination and commitment to your own joy, not just happiness or pleasure in a moment, but true joy that comes from a balance in your shadow and light, is the pathway to your desire. You won't know what you fully desire without embarking upon the pathway of joy. Sometimes, like, that's how I create. That's how I draw. I'm not here hawking my drawing, but this is the way that I like to understand my emotions or my mental state is by drawing abstractly, just doing what my hand feels good doing on a paper, doing something that the rhythm, sound, and tactile sensation of drawing, my hand enjoys doing it. And the entire picture emerges. I don't know what I'm drawing until I've already drawn it. And I think that is what the essence of this card is of, you don't know and you shouldn't know exactly how things are going to turn out. You just need to know exactly how you want to feel while you're doing it. And I think that's how all of this magic works. So, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Don't forget that I have a free Patreon now. And in that, I'm doing a coloring book club. And I do this every night, every single night. I'm here to recap volcanoes, earthquakes, atmospheric weather, solar weather, and Schumann resonances when the Schumann resonances are available. The site from Tomsk was down today, but hopefully tomorrow I'm going to have some exciting aurora news. Everyone should be able to see the aurora this weekend. We're going to have some incredible geomagnetic storms this weekend. So stay tuned. I'm really excited to get to share images of that as we get this quintuple punch of corona mass ejections from the sun. It's going to be really fun. Happy Taurus season, everyone. Happy new moon. And don't be afraid to pursue your joy and create. Remember that swords aren't bad, but destruction is necessary for creation. So don't be afraid to tear something down if you want to create something new. All right. I love you all very much. Very personally, I love you all very individually. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye. I love you.